I would also like to recognize the next First Lady of the Commonwealth of Virginia and my family, Terry McAuliffe, and I'd like to thank my great friend, Senator Mark Warner, for his introduction. His leadership as governor has set the standard for what Virginians expect, someone who will work with both sides to get results on jobs and education. His bipartisan leadership saved our AAA bond rating and resulted in the largest investment in K-12 education in Virginia history. And it's a legacy that we're all very proud of. And as Mark mentioned, we have been friends for 33 years. And he doesn't like to hear this, but believe it or not, I was his first boss 33 years ago. And he doesn't like it because I'm younger than he is. But folks, are we not blessed to have Mark Warner in the United States Senate and the work he has done? And his type of leadership is what we're going to do, and we're going to do it as a team. And I'd like to recognize the next Lieutenant Governor of the Commonwealth of Virginia, Ralph Northam, who is here with us today. And the next Attorney General of the Commonwealth of Virginia, Mark Herring, who's with us here today. Let me say this, folks. We are proud to be Democrats. But we're also proud that our ticket is focused on the mainstream issues. And this mainstream ticket is laser focused on the issues that matter to Virginians. Less traffic, great schools, and economic opportunity for the middle class. Before we get into the critical issues in this race, there was an important moment on Friday that really sums up the choice in this election. I obviously am not watching a lot of television these days, so I didn't see it live, but on Friday, Ken Cuccinelli actually went on Fox News to talk about his campaign. The host asked this question, quote, Republicans bore the brunt of the blame for the government shutdown. Does that feel like it's a little more in the rear view mirror now? And Ken Cuccinelli responded, and I want to quote exactly, it is always frustrating to me, the short memory span that folks have. But I'll tell you what, coming out of the government shutdown, I'm perfectly happy with that. So think about that for a second, folks. He's saying that he wants Virginians to forget the shutdown. He wants them to forget it so that they'll forget what he did. Well, that's not a surprise. Ted Cruz, the Tea Party Texas senator and architect of the government shutdown, took enough time off from causing gridlock in Washington to come to Virginia to campaign with Ken Cuccinelli. And while Ken Cuccinelli was there with Ted Cruz, he refused to speak out for the compromise or tell Ted Cruz to stop hurting Virginia. He stood with the Tea Party against Virginia jobs. In fact, a day later, Ken Cuccinelli tried to justify Cruz's actions. And when there was a bipartisan vote to reopen the government, Ken Cuccinelli refused to support it. He refused to ending the shutdown, folks. Now, quote, he's perfectly happy with Virginians experiencing mass amnesia. Here's the bottom line. While he may cynically want everyone to forget the shutdown, Virginia's memory is better than that. We are not going to forget that Ken Cuccinelli sided with the Tea Party against Virginia families. Could you imagine if Ted Cruz, Ken Cuccinelli, and the Tea Party actually ran the Virginia government? No! But folks, it's not just the shutdown. Ken Cuccinelli has spent his entire political career on the Tea Party fringe. Think about this. The actions that he has talked about and done on women's health and so many other issues. But I'm blessed to be here with somebody who has fought on women's issues. We're lucky enough today to have the Vice President with us, and I'm sure you all remember that he was the original author of the Violence Against Women Act. Bipartisan legislation that was made it possible for law enforcement all across the country to better prevent and prosecute violence. Last year, that legislation was about to expire. 47 attorney generals wrote a letter. Even some of the most conservative Republican senators and most liberal Democratic senators came together and wrote a letter to Congress asking for it to be renewed. Only 3 attorney generals refused to sign that letter. Now, let's take a guess who one of those 3 attorney generals was. That was bad enough, but his excuses even made it worse. So now he's run out of excuses, and he still has not explained to Virginia voters, why is it, Ken, that you don't support the reauthorization of the Violence Against Women Act? It is a pattern, as we know. Ken Cuccinelli has focused his entire career on issues that divide Virginians. He has attacked women's health care access, the Social Security that you've paid into, and scientific research. I can make a promise to you right now. Mark Herring, as Attorney General, will never sue the University of Virginia on climate change. Because we're focused on issues that bring Virginians together, improving education and creating good-paying jobs. The Tea Party ticket proposes an ideological and irresponsible tax plan that could lead to a budget crisis and devastating cuts to education. And now E.W. Jackson says that he and Ken Cuccinelli want to eliminate the corporate income tax in Virginia. Our mainstream ticket thinks that the budget should be based on common sense, fiscal responsibility, and investing in our shared priorities like the best education system. Their Tea Party ticket has demonized gay Virginians and tried to restrict a woman's access to birth control. Our mainstream ticket believes that Virginia should be open and welcoming to all. And that women should be able to make their own health care decisions. Their Tea Party ticket is proposing an education plan that would divert money from our public schools. Nope. I promise you, as governor, we will not take a penny out of our public schools, but we will invest in our public schools. And we'll invest in pre-K, early childhood development, so all of our children have access. And teacher pay. When you take average Virginia pay to average teacher pay, we rank 50th out of 50 states. Folks, we want to recruit and retain the best teachers to teach those STEM courses earlier. When I am governor, we are going to pay our teachers what they deserve to be paid. And we are going to reform the standards of learning because this high-stakes multiple-choice test at the end of the year is not working. We want our children to be learning to think cognitively, creatively. So let's reform those standards of learning. And let's invest in our community colleges. And I'm proud to say I've visited all 23 community colleges in the Commonwealth of Virginia. Their Tea Party ticket views bipartisanship as betrayal, and they actually oppose the transportation plan, which will allow all of us to start reducing gridlock. Ken Cuccinelli actually said he would kill the Silver Line after it was halfway completed. Aren't we about getting folks out of cars and into mass transit? Is that not better for Virginia? And I think it's a great thing that the Metro is going to go all the way to Dulles Airport and all the way into Loudoun County. Let's support our Silver Line. Our mainstream ticket views bipartisanship as a necessity because issues like job creation, folks, those aren't partisan issues. You know, it was Republican Lieutenant Governor Bill Bolling who said, quote, "This is not just the most conservative ticket, it's the most ideologically driven ticket we have seen in the history of our state." The truth is, though, it misses one important point. Those on the ideological extreme, they are motivated to vote. The question in this election is simple. Will the mainstream bipartisan majority in Virginia be drowned out by the Tea Party? No! If mainstream Virginians from both parties don't turn out to vote, you're letting the Tea Party decide Virginia's future. That's why I need your help now more than ever. Get out the vote. And let me just read you a couple important statistics. We have already knocked on, just last weekend, we knocked on 285,000 doors. And we have broken every record in the history of gubernatorial campaigns from the beginning of the year till today. We have knocked on a total of 1.8 million doors, thanks to your help. So let's get it to 2 million by Election Day. That's why we need you out here today, folks. Let's hit those doors. It is so important. I promise you, if you go out in the next 24 hours and help us win, I promise you that Mark Herring, Ralph Northam, and Terry McAuliffe, we will work our hearts out for you over the course of the next 4 years.